Hey guys, it's Mark. Welcome to Spiguyver Backpacking. Today I'm headed out into the woods to find a place to set up my hammock, my sleep system, my shelter, and show you guys what I've got. So I was asked by another YouTube channel to be part of a collaboration. And so if you go down below, you will find a list of all of those channels that are participating in this collaboration. And it's a pretty good list. It's a pretty big list this time, but everyone's going to be showing you their go-to sleep, shelter, whatever their system is. You know, some of them may be hammocks like me. Some of them may be tents. Heck, some of these guys are bushcraft people and they may be doing some improvised shelters. So go check them out. But I'm going to continue down here. I'm walking along the creek here today. And I'm going to continue down till I can find a nice place to set up. And then I'll bring you guys back and show you what I got. Hey guys, so I found a place out here in the woods, good place to hang my sleep system so that we can start looking at what it is that I bring out that is my go-to shelter system, sleep system. First piece of that is going to be this hammock. Always going to be a hammock for me, unless I'm in a place where it's absolutely necessary I go to ground. It's going to be the Dutchware Gear Chameleon Hammock. So right now it is set up. I don't have the pullouts on it, and this is how I will actually take it backpacking. I'm not going to use the pullouts when I go backpacking. If I'm out in a state park or doing something where I'm doing some car camping, I may have the pullouts on it. I did the last trip that I went on out at the Sesquicentennial State Park, but for this one, I'm not going to. It is reversible. I've talked about that before. If you guys want to learn more about this hammock, go check out my review on this hammock. This is the Dutchware Gear Chameleon Hammock. It's rather new to the market. It was a Kickstarter campaign. I got a chance to review this prior to that, so go check out that video if you want to learn more. But it has this integrated top cover with a vent that goes down the other side. And this is great for that shoulder season into the winter season. Once it starts getting warm though, this is probably going to come off and it'll be replaced, either left open, because this does fully come off and it could just be used as a netless hammock, or it has an integrated bug net. So this is the way it's been set up recently, and I will probably start out with it this way for my next trip when I go out and meet up with Outdoor Adventures Frozen, and we go hit the Laurel Highlands hiking trail and do a through hike of that. Because it is going to be a little bit on the cooler side and I am going to take my lighter weight stuff, I do think I may go with the top cover, just to give me that little extra layer of protection there. But following that, it's going to start to look like this. So then it can look like this. So now we have the fully integrated bug net, zippers that can line up anywhere, two going together, unzip, get in, has the same zippers on either side, fully reversible so you can lay either way. So this is my go-to shelter, the Chameleon. So let's take a look at how I suspend my hammock, what my go-to system is to suspend my hammock. So here it is. This is what I use for my suspension. It starts on the tree side with this 1-inch Kevlar 7-foot long tree hugger. Has sewn in loops on either end, and then it comes down to the anti-gravity gear mule tape. And so the mule tape then comes down and is Beckett hitched onto the continuous loop of the hammock. Now, I've been asked a couple of times what I do for water breaks. And so I tie this figure 8, or, you know, kind of a figure 8 loop, and then just kind of loop it on here, tie it tight, and then it's got a string that dangles down that then becomes a water break. Additionally, the Beckett hitch knot itself becomes a second place where that can be a water break. I do the same thing down at this end. You can see that we have the figure 8s looped on there with a dangling line that becomes a water break, and then the Beckett hitch knot itself. What I like about this system is it is one of the most lightweight systems you could possibly get with that Kevlar and then the mule tape. And it is pretty much infinitely adjustable because it's just wherever you're going to put the hitch on here, wherever you're going to knot that. So it could be an inch up, it could be 3/4 of an inch up, it could be 5 inches down. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have a loop, you don't have to have anything to connect that to. Very, very lightweight system. With the 7-foot tree huggers, I can go with, I believe I have it 4 times around this little tree, 4 times around a little bit bigger tree over there. I could also go with something like the bigger tree in the background back there and have that work out. So there you have my shelter system and the suspension that I use with it. I think it works really well together. I found a lot of great uses for it. There are quicker setups, but there aren't many that are lighter out there than what I've currently got set up here. This Kevlar is super light. The mule tape, real lightweight, real easy to work with, very slick, so it's easy to put the hitch in. But once it's in, I haven't had it slip. So if I was to sit in here right now, I'm not gonna have any problems. Even though I haven't sat in it yet and put any weight on it. Complete trust in it. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. No slipping, no stretching really. So this is my shelter. Let's take a look at how I stay warm once I'm in my shelter. Okay, so now we've taken a look at the shelter itself. Let's look at what I use inside as a top quilt and a pillow to keep me warm and comfortable when I'm in my hammock. So I have the Wilderness Logic's down pillow. It's got the fleece side and it's got the nylon side. Really, really like that pillow. Squishes down pretty small. I know some people don't like that. That's what I like. Then I have the Loco Libre Gear Ghost Pepper 50-degree operator series. So this one is a bare bones Argon 67 inside and out, lighter weight, 900 fill power down, full coverage top quilt. So let's get in, take a look at how well it covers me. It's got a cinch closure footbox with snaps up it that are grosgrain reinforced so that they're not going to rip out. I can lay down. I'm only 5'7", but I can pull this thing. If I've got it all the way, my feet to the end of it, I can pull it up over my head and stay warm on a really cold night. Pillow behind my head, nice flat lay. Just a super, super comfortable system right here. But it's warm. It's about 80 degrees or so, a little over 80 right now. So being in a 50-degree quilt, even though it's only 50 degrees, it's still a little warm. So that is my top quilt, what keeps me warm on top. Again, if it's gonna be borderline, I took this one down. I had this one down to 34 degrees a couple of weeks ago when I was out at the hang, and that was with the top cover on. So with that Argon top cover, I was able to take this down with a 40-degree underquilt, which I'm gonna show you next. So let's take a look at the underquilt I use. Here's the underquilt that I use. This is a Hammock Gear Phoenix 40-degree 3/4 length underquilt. It has the dual suspension so that you can pull it up, adjust it down the length of the hammock, and then it has the end cinches which will close it up to make sure that you aren't getting any air gaps in the inside. It also has a draft collar on the end, which is really effective for if it's not quite cinched up, that'll take up a little bit of that room. So it is baffled with a little bit of differential baffles in there so that it's a little bit more insulated under your butt and torso and a little bit less under your legs. Now because this is only a 3/4 length, it goes from about my shoulders, top of my shoulder blades, to about my ankles. I'm a little bit shorter, so I can get away with a 3/4 length a little bit easier. In the summertime, it's not such a big deal. You get into the 30s and 40s and it starts getting a little bit dicey there. And I like to put something underneath my feet, a pad or even a jacket or something under there, just to kind of block a little bit of that wind that's hitting the bottom that's robbing me via convection. So this is the underquilt that I use that keeps me nice and toasty on those nights I'm out there camping. Cool thing about this Chameleon, see these loops, this hook here, you've got another hook here that the suspension will grab into. And what that'll do is it will actually, I don't have it connected on this side because this is my foot side and then this is my head side over here. So I've got it looped on the head side as well. And so when I spread out, it will keep it on the foot side down here and it'll pull it onto the head side on the other end so that the underquilt is always in position. I don't have to unzip and reach out and pull it up and make sure it's over my shoulder because these hooks are doing that for me. Pretty awesome. We have now seen my underquilt, my top quilt, my actual hammock itself, both with the bug net, with the top cover. It can be also used just as a netless. But what do I do when it's raining? That top cover, while it's nice, isn't going to protect me from the rain. It's definitely not going to protect my underquilt. So I need something over the top of me for those days that it's rainy. It does provide a little bit for the wind as well. So let's see what I've got. So to keep me dry, I have a Hammock Gear Cuben fiber standard tarp with doors, not called Cuben fiber anymore. If you go to their site, they're now called Dyneema because that is the brand of the fabric that they're using. It is a Cuben fiber. It's a Cuben fiber laid with plastic to create what everyone refers to as Cuben fiber. If you go to their site, it's now called Dyneema. And this one happens to be in the Cuben fiber Dyneema snakeskin gear sleeve, hammock gear sleeve. It's a single sleeve. I just did a review, compared this one, the Cuben fiber, to the mesh. I gave the pluses and minuses of both of them, talked about them. You can see I've still got my Cuben fiber in my Cuben fiber, and that's the way I'm probably gonna leave it. But you can go and check out that video to see which one best suits you. So this is up here. I can string it up. It is run on a continuous ridgeline. This one happens to be on a Dutchware Gear continuous ridgeline. My other tarp is on a different one, and you can see that also in that video. But let's take a close look at what makes a continuous ridgeline so easy to use. So here's my continuous ridgeline. Starts out with a very small little Dutch hook here at the end. Am steel, goes around, runs through there, comes down. We've got soft shackles, so easily you can take this tarp on and off. And then these are little prusik knots that you can slide along this slippery am steel. The continuous ridgeline runs inside of my snakeskin, comes out the other side where we again have another soft shackle on a prusik that can be slid. See how easily it slides, but once you get it pulled, you know, you can't pull it back in the other direction. That's the great thing about a prusik knot. Then we come down and you have a wasp. So this is a Dutch wasp. It runs through this line. You twist it around the tail once you get it positioned. It comes through the little beak right here, which you can then cinch down with, and then it wraps up and goes under this wing and locks in place. Very easy. So here's how easy it is to adjust. It is around the tree and then through this little beak. I simply pull until it's tight, so I get it nice and tight. Once I wrap it around, I just simply tug it and it's in place and it's locked. And so now it is where it needs to be. So let's take a look at how I set up my tarp. So it takes at least 4 stakes to set it up. I usually use 6 with my trekking poles. I don't have the trekking poles out here with you today, so I will show you what I would do with those. But let's go ahead and show you how I get it out of the snakeskin, how I set it up. Real easy. I reach up here, grab the barrel lock, pull it open it up. I just kind of walk down through like I showed in the other video, get to the end and just unsnake it. Now I'm going to separate the two sides, kind of give it a little bit of a shake, get everything kind of out there, make sure the lines aren't tangled up. And so now that it's deployed, it's real easy. I just get the stakes. I have elastic shock cord with tarp worms on here. We'll take a close look once I get it set up on how those work. Okay, so here we have the tarp set up. I've got this end with the doors closed. That end, the door is still open. But you can see the way that I do it, I have shock cord on here that I just loop around my hookworm, or my tarp worm in this case. Easy, just hook it over, and now it's closed. It's gonna block the wind from coming in and gives you a coverage from the wind, everything except for what's hanging out down below. You can lower it a little bit, but really it's a pretty minimal coverage tarp. The water's gonna hit it. Because it is Cuben fiber, absolutely no water is going to absorb. It is 100% waterproof, and it's just gonna run off. Now, when I have my trekking poles, I will stand my trekking poles up, loop this around, and this will become the pullout, which I then have a stake that goes down to the ground. And you can see it provides a good foot extra room up at the top when I pull that out. You can see where it is now, and when I pull that out, it really gives a lot of room. You do that on both sides, and it creates a nice, roomy environment inside for you to hang out in. About the lightest tarp you can possibly find out there. 100% waterproof. Is it fragile? I haven't had any problems. I know a lot of people out there have been using them for years, haven't had any problems, but you do have to be careful. Any of this lightweight gear that you use when you go out backpacking, you definitely have to be careful with. Just keep that in mind. You'll be fine. So let's take a look at how I stake out my tarp and how the hookworms actually, or the tarp worms in this case, actually work. So this is what a tarp worm looks like. I've got it attached to elastic shock cord. Now, because this tarp doesn't stretch, you don't actually need the elastic. I have it there just as a protector, just to put a little bit less stress on the tarp on those really windy days. Does that mean that it's gonna move and flap around a little bit more? Yes, it does. So you don't actually need this, but I prefer it. The tarp worm is real easy to strike. Just pull the cord, and now you can adjust it just by pulling or releasing the line. Once you get it where you want it, I pinch it off, make a little twist in the line, slide that over the hookworm, or tarp worm in this case. Let's do that again. Hook over, pull, and now it is locked. Then I take my hook or my loop that's on my door, and it slides right underneath here and keeps it all locked in place. It actually provides a secondary lock there, but very easy, completely secure. It's not gonna go anywhere, but as soon as you wanna strike it, just pull it, and now it's loose. So here I am in my shelter, fully closed in, ready for anything that the weather's gonna throw my way. The bugs aren't gonna get me. The weather's not gonna get me. The wind isn't going to affect me. This is an extremely lightweight, extremely versatile shelter. This is my go-to backpacking system. So there you guys go. That is my go-to backpacking sleep and shelter system. It is what works for me. It may not be what works for you. Find what works for you and use it. Experiment, play around. Find that perfect system for you. Anyway, guys, thanks for coming out here with me. Thanks for joining me out here today. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Check out the other channels. They're all listed down below, and see what they have as their favorite backpacking or shelter system. As always, guys, I appreciate the comments. Keep them coming. Keep watching. I'll keep doing this. I'll see you guys down the trail. Thanks.